Buddy, my name is Derek Peterson. I'm the president of Hope Holdings, founder and CEO of OneWay.com. Next up in my series reviewing alternative social networks is Minds, Minds.com. Minds is probably my favorite of the alternative socials that are out there, which, if you've seen the rest of the series, isn't actually saying very much. Again, it's a standalone, free speech, promises free speech type platform. If you've watched my video on the future of social media, you know that what I think about these. But spoiler alert, I don't think any of them matter. I don't think any of them is going to be around in 2 years, right? I think Minds won't exist in 2 years in its current iteration. I don't think any of them will, including OneWay.com, right? But anyhow, I like what they've tried to do for the most part. I think it's a relatively good team. It's an interesting team. The father, who is this fella here, this is the managers of Minds. So the father, I haven't done any research or anything. This all I know about him is what I'm reading here on this white paper that they put out. Okay. So the father, this fellow here, John Altman, is one of the co-founders. He basically gave the son $1 million to build this social network. And so you can't knock him for that. I mean, the guy's a successful guy, obviously, be able to hand over $1 million. At least I guess it was his money, but I mean that's what it showed up on their paperwork when they did their public offering. So basically gave his son $1 million to be an internet entrepreneur and build this free speech platform. So these guys are using their family money. You can't knock them for that, right? And they have good hearts. They're trying to do good things. So you can't knock them for that for the most part, right? They're not, I don't think they're not grifters or anything like that. They're successful, smart people for the most part. Politically, obviously, I probably wouldn't agree with them on practically anything. They're probably very, liberal. They strike me as liberal, new agey kind of folks. And I don't know where they stand politically, but, we probably wouldn't agree. They, do a really good job, I think, of not letting what they believe influence the site, right? Or posting things that are political or inflammatory or trying to rile people up and things like that. I don't think, and they do typically do a good job of not trying to pump things like some of these other guys do, like screaming, playing victim all the time and trying to rally the troops to get money, right? To raise money. Probably because they're all pretty wealthy anyway, so they don't really need to. But anyway, so basically it's a father, a son, Bill Ottman, and then the other son, Jack Ottman, and then this guy, Mark Harding, who's the CTO. I guess he's the main developer on the site. So it looks like a nice, normal team, nice folks, family team, like that. And again, I think that I think they're sincere people. I think they're trying to do good, and you can't knock them for that. Okay. So, and I like the things they're trying to do. They have blogs, they have videos, they have groups. They're trying to do a lot of different things, right? So, and I like that. I think that they're forward thinking. They're trying to be creative. You can tell these guys are thinking about stuff and trying to do new things, right? So that's the good. Okay. Now let's get into the bad parts. Okay. And there are some. So first of all, their homepage, the Crypto Social Network. We are an open source and decentralized platform for internet freedom. Get paid in crypto for your contributions to the community. This isn't a huge big deal, but it gets on my nerves, right? I mean, everybody throws these buzzwords around to try to confuse people that don't know what they're talking about, right? And so the Crypto Social Network, what they did basically is they had gamification on the site and they just added a layer to Ethereum, which is this stupid coin that everybody likes. It's run by flaming social justice warrior types, right? But not good people. I mean, really bad people. And so they just added this layer of gamification on top of their website. It's not a huge big deal. It's not anything really to get excited about. Okay, and it can probably confuse people, and they think the whole website is somehow in the blockchain. It's not. Okay, and it's a little deceptive when people try to make out like their websites are somehow in the blockchain. Okay, so all this is basically is a layer on top of their website um, of gamification, like a token type system. Okay. Okay. And then the other buzzwords, open source. They are open source, which is great, but their code is very different. I mean, nobody could run this site. I mean, they couldn't do it cost effectively. It's not an easy code source to run, right? And we looked at it one day, I don't know, like 6 months ago or so, and it's okay. It's old, site. It's hard when you develop a site a long time ago to try to maintain it and keep it current and modern. I understand that, and they're updating a lot. I noticed, here recently. I looked at their GitHub, or their wherever it was stored, and they seem to be doing a lot of updates, on a regular basis. So they're working hard on the code, right? So at least they're spending money on something good. Some of these other sites that are getting millions of dollars do nothing with it except spend it on themselves or on more hype or on trying to raise more money, right? So at least they're trying to build, so again, I can't knock them for that. The other big buzzword, decentralized. That's the big word everybody's using now, which I'm a big believer in. But this site is not it. Okay. The only part that's semi-decentralized, if you could call it that, is their Ethereum coin that's over the top of their site. Right. But other than that, there's nothing decentralized about this. Okay. It's a site on a server. Okay. It's not a decentralized. This isn't in the Fediverse, or this isn't, connected like that in any way. Okay. This is not a decentralized platform. I'm sure people can come up with all different definitions of it, but my definition is pretty simple. It's a standalone site. It's not decentralized. Okay. So buzzwords annoy me. I don't think they're trying to raise money off of it or try to scam anybody. They just throw them out there, but anyway, it is what it is, right? So now the bad parts, okay? Their credit, Minds has said that they're not going to allow any child porn or lolly porn, right? Again, the site, if you've seen my other reviews, all of the alternative social networks are full of the most despicable, horrible porn you can possibly imagine. Minds is no exception. Minds has really bad porn. I'd say the worst is probably that Gab website, and then probably Minds is close to second, I guess, or Vote maybe, I guess. But it's just awful sorts of porn. Okay, really bad stuff, and they do an awful job of moderation, and which I understand why. I'll explain here in just a second. But anyhow, to their credit, they came out. I read, I don't know, months ago. I sent out a mass notice to all the alternative socials and said I was going to do a review and pin you down on all your child porn and lolly porn and things like that if you still had it up. So I gave them months of notice in advance and said, clean up your acts or I'm going to do and nobody did. But anyway, so here it is. They put out a report saying, or a blog post, I guess, saying, I think it was their developer that put it out, saying that they were going to obey most, the lolly porn is this porn that's like cartoonized kids like you see here, right? I already looked through this screen, so there's not any nudity in here, right? But I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, and it's a bunch of very sexualized images of kids. Some of these cartoons are very, 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 very realistic, okay? And some of them are gruesome stuff, right? And I've seen other porn examples on this site. I don't know if it were just quick and they were moderated out or what, but there's been lots of other instances of child porn and graphic stuff that I've noticed on this site as well. So lolly porn is this cartoonized, these drawings that you can see here of children being raped and brutalized and murdered in all sorts of disgusting ways, right? And so they said they were gonna not allow those sexualized images of children, drawn or not, on their website. Unfortunately, they still do, right? They made a big deal of it and said they weren't going to do it, but they still are, right? For whatever reason, probably because their site doesn't have the ability to moderate, because their code is very old and it's not very stable. So here's some examples of this type of content that I'm talking about, right? I don't want to scroll too far because some of it gets very, very graphic. But anyway, you get the idea, okay? So a lot of it's really, really bad stuff. I'm going to show you another one here in just a second and prove the point here about their moderation problems. But that's a big negative, right? It's illegal in half the states in America. They should clean it up, okay? Instead of worrying about cryptocurrency, trying to make a fake crypto on top of their website and all this other hype, they should stick with the basics and moderate their site, okay? And make a clean, functioning, easy to use website, okay? The new design, they used to have a design that was like left-sided navigation. It was a mess. This is a little better. It's still not a great navigation system with this. It's a little convoluted. Videos, images, blogs, groups. It's a little convoluted the way they do things, but whatever. They'll probably that's not that big of a deal to straighten out. Okay, so back to the porn. So again, I'm doing these reviews for a lot of my Christian friends and people that were asking me specifically about the porn on the sites. I'm also giving my opinion business-wise and everything else. I've been doing this for 20 years about these sites that I'm reviewing. But the primary thing is I'm trying to just, tell people which sites are safe for them and their families and which aren't, right? I wouldn't consider this site to be a family-friendly, safe site at all for anybody under 21, right? Or 51. All right, so here, ready? This is graphic. I'm warning you. If you don't want to see it, don't see it, okay? So these are the kind of cartoonized images I'm talking about. So here you have a young girl. This is a drawing, right? I know it looks very, very realistic, and some of them are very, very, very realistic computer-generated images, right? If I clicked on this image, you'd be horrified for life. Believe me, it's a woman. Not a woman. It's a girl, prepubescent girl, laying on a table, completely naked, picture perfect. I mean, it's CGI. You can't tell it's not the real thing. Being raped by a man standing there. Okay, very terrible stuff. Okay, and this young girl's being raped here by some guy and another guy, a couple guys holding coffee while she's being raped. Okay, this young girl. Okay, horrific stuff. The site is absolutely full of this kind of pornography. Okay, probably they have a ton of bots running on this site also. That's another problem with this site. I'd say the vast majority of their content is coming from bots. I mean, tons and tons and tons of bots. And a lot of this like new agey looking weird, trippy type pictures from a bunch of idiots that dropped a lot of LSD, right? And smoke a lot of pot, right? See, every site kind of has their own flavor. And this site kind of strikes me as like, a lot of people take LSD and smoke a lot of pot here, right? And even the bots, apparently, who's ever making the bots. But here's the problem, right? Here's their biggest problem that this site has, which is very telling to me about a lot of I've discussed this internally with my folks, and it's very telling to some huge systemic problems they have in their database and in the way their site's structural problems that the way their site is set up. So this guy here, Novarios, or Nakamoto, right? That's the same guy that was on Gab, actually, that I pointed out over there, too. So this guy has multiple accounts. But anyway, this guy, Novavirus, I guess is his name, Novarios. So you click on it. Sorry, this channel can't be found. So that's great. They suspended this user. What's not great is that when they suspend a user, all that user's content that they created in comments and other places stays on the site. That's ridiculous. That's like web design 101, right? And so basically, I mean, talk about a moderation nightmare. Every comment that schmuck made, right, on the whole site is going to be there unless you go and manually remove them all, I guess, right? So this site has a lot of systemic problems, especially concerning moderation, apparently. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff that I can't see that's not forward-facing. But, in my opinion, instead of worrying about tokenizing it and making a crypto social network, they need to focus on moderation. They need to focus on, getting the code under control, right? I mean, when you delete a user, when you remove a user, all their content, comments, everything needs to be removed with it, right? And they don't have that functionality after 10 years and millions of dollars. Okay. So that's a big negative to me. So I would not recommend this site for anybody that's interested in trying to protect themselves or their families from that sort of content. Um, but again, I don't want to be mean. I like these. I like the family seems like a nice, sincere group of people that just haven't executed really, really well yet. But they're young kids. The kid who's running this now is probably only like in his mid 30s, right? So he's been running this like 10 years. So probably right when he got out of college, his dad gave him a bunch of money and said, "Here, let's do this and run this site." So he's learning as he's going, right? So maybe in 10 years he'll be great, right? But so I don't want to be mean or anything, but it is what it is right now, and that's what it is. So that's my review of Minds. I'm Derek from Hope Holdings. Thanks. Bye.